What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're tackling one more job that needs to get done before we get back out on the road, and that's fixing our portable waste tank. So we've had this thing for probably a year and a half, between a year and a half and 2 years. It's been phenomenal. It comes in very, very handy, but the wheels have finally given out on us. So I'll show you what we're talking about. So you can see this is the axle shaft. You see my wheel bearing is completely gone. I've already taken the cap off the end. I noticed the last time that I was loading this thing in the truck that the wheel was all wobbly and loose. Started looking, and the bearing actually seized onto the shaft. So the bearing's just completely worn out. And then not on this one, but when I was kind of checking it out to see what was going on with it, I noticed on this other wheel that it's starting to crack around the hub. So you can see the cracks there. So this needs to be addressed, because the last thing you want is for this thing one of the wheels to fall off while you're dragging this to the dump station. You would end up dragging a hole in the bottom of the plastic, and then you'd have a big mess. This thing is 28 gallons, so when it's full, it's going to be really, really heavy, really heavy. So you're not going to be able to do anything with it if you're dragging it behind the truck and the wheels fall off. You're not going to do much. So other than sit there and watch all your wastewater drain all over the ground. So what we're going to do is I found a couple suggestions on ways to fix this. So I've kind of combined a few of those suggestions into the way that we're going to do it. We're going to replace the axle shaft with a piece of threaded rod. We're going to put some really heavy duty wheels on here, and hopefully that's going to take care of it, get us all fixed up, and we'll never have to worry about doing this again. So I'll show you guys how we're going to do it. So what you're going to need, I've got a 3-foot piece of 5/8 threaded rod. I got this from Lowe's. You're going to be able to get all this stuff from Lowe's as far as the hardware goes. The tires I got from Harbor Freight. Got some electrical tape. I'll show you what we use that for. And then we have some 5/8 nuts, a couple 5/8 lock nuts, and then some flat washers. So let's get this axle shaft out. So now we got our old axle out of there. I didn't have any luck finding a replacement wheel kit, which is what I looked for first. Had no luck finding that. So this is going to be the next best option. So yeah, so what I read when I was trying to find a solution is that the 5/8 rod is just a little bit too small. It wants to spin in here. So we're going to use our electrical tape, and we're going to wrap some electrical tape around the shaft of the rod just to make it fit a little tighter, so it's not flopping around loose. I don't think it would spin with the weight on it, but definitely don't want these threads to eat into the plastic either. So here's the wheels that we're going to use. These are, you can use pneumatic tires, dolly tires. These are 13-inch, the NeverFlat style wheels. So it's a solid rubber wheel. So I don't have to worry about airing this thing up. It's rated for 750 pounds. So the bearings in here are going to be more than heavy duty enough to support the weight. So essentially, we're going to end up putting these on each side, and we'll have some really good wheels when we get done. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely makes that rod fit in there without any play. So that works. So I want to make sure I have enough to put my nut on, which is going to act to do a couple things. It's going to hold our bar in place, and then also act as a spacer for our wheel. So I want to make sure that it's not hitting, which that looks good. I've actually got another washer I'll put on this side. So we'll actually do it like this. That way we got plenty of clearance there. And then we'll use our Nyloc nut on the outside. We'll put that on, tighten it down, and that'll keep our wheel right where it needs to be. Before you go cutting all thread with a hacksaw, go ahead and thread on your nut down past where you're going to cut it. That way, after you cut that off, when you take your nut off, it'll clean those threads up for you. You won't have any trouble getting your nut started back on there. Sawzall would be a real neat tool to have right about now. Sawzall, cut off wheel. But I ain't got those, so we're gonna hack it up. Almost. You just cut it off, no big deal. So now we're going to back that nut off of there. You can see our threads are a little rough, so it'd be hard to get this back started on there. But now you just back your nut off, cleans your threads up for you. You'll have no trouble when it's time to thread this back on. You can go right back on, no problem. Alright, that's the hardest part of the whole job right there, I think. So now we're going to slide our shaft back in. A little tighter now, with tape on it. That side locked in. We'll stick our washer and our nut over on this side. So, 5/8 rod. The flat washers I got are actually 9/16. So I got 9/16 washers which will fit over a 5/8 rod. They fit pretty snug over it, so your washer's not going to have a lot of play. If you get a 5/8 washer, it'll still work, but it's going to be a little more loose, and I wanted a really tight fit on these washers since we're using it to kind of hold this rod in place. Alright, so now I'll put a nut on there, thread that on. Make sure we got enough to get this wheel on. Oh yeah, looking good. Just want to make sure you have enough sticking out to where when you put your Nyloc nut on there that it threads on far enough to where it threads into the nylon. That way it'll stay locked in place. If you only thread it on 3/4 of the way and don't actually make it to the nylon part of the nut, then it won't lock in place. Alright, so we'll get some wrenches, snug this down against the tank, snug our axle in there, and tighten it down. We can adjust the axle left and right by tightening down our nuts here. So I've got those nice and snug so that they're tight up against the tank here. And then once we put our Nyloc nut on the outside. It should be all locked in place really nice. There you go. So you don't want to over tighten this lock nut. You want to definitely snug it down, but you don't want to over tighten it. Just want to make sure your wheel doesn't have any play in it. This one doesn't. Make sure you don't have any play back and forth, this way, left and right. This one doesn't, and it's rolling good. So you can see we got just enough thread through there so that we've got into the Nyloc part of the lock nut, so that's not going to back off on us. Alright, so now I'm holding the other side of the other side lock nut and just tightening this side down. That should do it. Got play there side to side. So now with everything tight, you can see that really this can't go left and right with the nut, the washer. It's not going to allow that really to slide any. So yeah, we should be good to go there. I considered doing a double nut out here, but that would stick the wheels way out a lot further than where I really wanted to be. I feel like this solution is really going to work well for us. So we'll get on the ground and see how it sits. All right, there we go. That is so much better than the original. So we went from this to that. So you can see the 13-inch tires are perfect. They're the right height. And this is a much heavier duty setup than what we had before for sure. So really happy with the way this turned out. Rolls around smoother. It's probably going to roll behind the truck a lot smoother. So yeah, I mean, I don't get really excited about dumping our tanks, but I'm pretty excited to try this out. So ready to get to a campground where we can fill this sucker up and drag it down. And when we do that, I'm going to show you guys how it holds up. We'll leave a list of everything that I used to do this in the description of the video. This whole thing ended up costing us about 60 bucks to do. So not bad when you consider that a replacement tank is a lot more than that. So appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you guys down the road.